Hello, everybody. Are you ready? Yeah, when I was in States, they were very optimistic, even it was even later than this hour, but they were optimistic and eager to hear what I was saying, but we are a bit cooler in this region, right? So we'll take it easy from here. And it's a great pleasure to be here, especially when I know that I'm standing you between you're leaving to home and then take a nap or rest from a busy day. But I'll do my best to try to wrap up some things which you all already heard today, and some things which I try to transfer to what we did in order to grow our team in our company, but also in region and general community in Osijek, Croatia, where I come from. So my name is Milan. I come from company Ofir, which is located in Osijek, eastern part of Croatia. So we are facing basically global challenges in all field of business, not just the IT. On panel today, we mentioned that people believe that the young people are missing the spark in the eye when they talk about things they love or they like to do. And that's the main difference maybe between older generations who are entering the IT business and those who are doing that today. Employers are hard to find, especially developers, so in IT sector. And school system is, how we say it, challenging to describe. Do you know why school starts at 8 o'clock in the morning? Someone, do you have an idea? Exactly. I asked teachers the same question, and they were told that they told me that it was there are researches that the brain functions the best in the morning and all other bullshit. But the thing is that in the Industrial Revolution, that was the time or that was the place to teach the employees that need to be exact on time in a factory because all other places will be missed if you don't get on time. Today we are having the same or similar system we had back then. Of course, that's just an example, not the rule, but some parts of the school system are still too rigid. I would point that to in further notes. So young people in general maybe are missing that passion, maybe missing something to drive, something that should drive them. But also sometimes not seeing future because politics, region, environment, community, and all other excuses they might have. So we are sure and positive after today that we are talking about IT hype, which is constant in last, let's say, 10 years or so, and still is running. And we are here basically to use it and to try make some things which we didn't achieve up to now. For example, standards. For example, what happens to developers when they cross 40 years and so on. But it's interesting to see and to use it. On the other side, as I told you, we have a mix and challenges in cooperation between academia and business sector. Business sector complains that academia is too slow and doesn't respond to the market needs, and academia says that business sector is too rigid again and expects too much from them. And this is a great line that teach, test, and hope for the best is something they are being hiding from. So academia sector, I hope I didn't offend here anybody if he or she is in academia, but it's some kind of mutual point. So what did we do in order to try to overcome those problems and to try to find young people, try to grow our team? Of course, this is not the best thing maybe, but this is how story goes. In short, in Croatia, we had a Croatian software exporter association, which counts around 300 members, and it was founded 7 years ago, and gathered IT companies in Croatia with the main thing of raising an awareness that there's a job in IT, there's a future in IT, and you can join and make your career out of it. There was a main question, why do you do that? Because you are competition to each anyone in that association. If we gather all the companies in Croatia which are in IT business, again, we cannot satisfy the needs for the IT projects in, let's say, half of the Germany. So, of course, there's a lot of room to be filled, but also we cannot talk here about competition, just the opposite. We used and some of the mutual experiences other companies are having and try to spread it among, to disseminate that information among members. On the other side, more locally, from that association, we grew up in a smaller association called Osijek Software City. So that association was currently up to 40 members and was founded also 5 years ago, where main challenge was that there were no people, young people, joining companies. Again, because it's a problem, it's they are lacking political or relationship to someone in order to get to work, or some other excuses which were caused just by not knowing the real situation. In those 5 years, maybe you don't see it in this graph, but number of companies and number of young people joining us was increased, and it still grows. So we were doing different workshops, different presentation. For starter, success stories. What happened with the people having an idea, going to the startup, having own product, failing, and so on. On the other hand, we had talks. So, for example, Java talks, JavaScript, PHP, and so on. So, some kind of workshops. It's maybe important to mention that in Osijek we have a university with around 20,000 students, so it was a good base to do that. So, but of course, we managed to organize such events, to try to present to the students what is there, what can be there. But also we have some cons. First of all, young people saw a couple of successful startups and say, okay, that guy had an idea, that guy has money today. Only thing I need to have is an idea, and I will be having money. So we had more than a couple of teams where we had young people all dressed up in suits and presenting their pitches to the deep level, deep detail, but not having technical skills or not willing even to learn those technical skills. That was one of the cons. And the other is that was cool. It was great hype. Locally, I'm talking. So in the community, we've made basically a hype about it, that it's cool to join our events, to meet us, to have an environment where you can come to any of the company owners in the region and ask him anything about his question, about his failures, about his technology or his people which were also there. And yeah, of course, we had more than a couple of those who just had that wow effect, hype for a couple of weeks, months, and then said, wow, this is too hard, I will give up and do a marketing thing or consulting, even though he's just finishing faculty. But what happened is that 5 years ago, we didn't have almost any application for practice in our companies in that region. From that time, we started to gain emails like, I know that I don't know, and I would like to learn. I would like you to accept me for a practice volunteer or whatever. And so to start learning, to start adapting either technology, either, since most of the companies there are dealing with the web technology, so either HTML from the scratch, either some specific technology which company had the need for. I have extracted during that time 3 types of the young person we have met. We are trying from those people to have them employed, of course, to have any kind of collaboration with them, because again, we are having problem, like we are lacking people, especially developers. And there's no point of buying people in other companies, trying to offer them more money in order to transfer. Then again, they can transfer somewhere else and so on. It doesn't make sense. So the only thing logical was to so to educate the young people to be our team member. Of course, there's a risk for them to go away after some time, but that's the thing we try to handle each day. I've called these 3 types of everything, those guys who are in some, in average. First thing, everything is stupid. So why I need to be here? It's a stupid practice. Professor told me that I need to be here, or mom told me that I need to study, and why I'm even trying to listen. From there, I realized that first question on the interview for the practice is, do you want a signature for professor to have him to file the report, or you want to do a practice for real? And that was the first filter. Second type, I know everything. That type of people comes with high self-esteem and knowing that and thinking that installing a Windows in the neighborhood is what we need and what web developer means in real world. I don't know where they come from with that, but that's the other type of the persons we had. And the third is I will do anything. Fear of even coming to the company is huge in those people, even though they are most likely to say that sentence which I mentioned earlier, that they will confess they don't know, and they are willing to learn. So, but also, and most of the guys who stick with us and were maybe at starter like this. From that practices and things we did, there are some good points of good practice we had. When the person approaches to the company, we are trying to predict or talk what field of web development he or she would like to work. Problem here is that almost all faculties are teaching them that web design is designing a web page and having that delivered to the client. They don't understand difference between front end, back end, and so on. So we're trying to talk it over and explain that there are different parts of the process they need to understand and go through it. Most of the cases are, I would like to be a web designer. Okay. Do you know Photoshop? Do you know Illustrator? Do you have a feeling for design? No, I know CSS. But you need to, who will make a website? Well, someone. I will do everything else. And such talks. And when we try to determine what is the best field for that guy or girl, we then try to have some kind of structure. And we are calling that mentoring. We cannot call that education or teaching because we are not placing them in rooms or showing them codes or anything. We are almost every time we are throwing them into fire. So you have a project, you have some basic skills which you showed on the interview. Now it's time for you to show it. We are giving them some easy or simple tasks which are also covered by the experienced developer and could be easily solved. So with those simple tasks, we see how prepared are they for learning. And that's something we found that is more important than the base knowledge they came with from the faculty. So throwing to the fire was the best approach. Of course, we had fuck-ups with that. We tried to be student-friendly and open and everything, and then we saw that there's usage of that. So we heard excuses. They need to go to faculty, and on the faculty they said they need to go to practice and such things. They're not available. And also, once they are available, they were expecting that the experienced developer or anyone in the company is already or in that second prepared to talk with him or her and answer his or her questions. From there, we realized a couple, again, situations that this job is great. I would like to collaborate with you in any way. I would continue to volunteer. I would continue practice or some kind of a student arrangement. This is great. So second opinion was this great, but I would like maybe to do more on this. And this is not so great. A couple of guys approached and they were sorry that they found out that they are not for that job. And we turned it into an advantage because they were aware that it is not for them, so they skipped and come to the other workplace. From our side, we learned that we need to expect unexpected, and basically that's the best approach we are having for the moment. I don't know if you're familiar with Erasmus. It's so for any of those you don't know, it's European Union program for students to go abroad and learn. We tried that as well. Here also the problem is that you have a wide range of foreign, so Western countries where you can travel, and of course then attracting students in Croatia is a problem. But also on the other side, once you achieve attracting them to your company, they are mostly proactive students, and just now we have one student from Novi Sad, and the colleague is great. So it's a continuous improvement also, not just in development, but in this progress, and we are trying to find each and every day new approaches in order to find those people, to detect them on the faculties, and to try to force or to give them the reason to stay in the city, in the town, and collaborate with us in our company. Also, in order to make that happen, definitely, we are working a lot on the atmosphere in the company. So we don't have some kind of rigid system where you need to be afraid of some boss or whoever. It's pretty flexible as long as the deadlines are met and the clients are satisfied. You are free to work whenever, basically, and from wherever. Again, if you are in constant communication with the client and you respect your deadlines, which are set and explained to the customer. So from having one community where the faculty told us, a couple of faculties in our university told us from a start that we don't need as companies, they wouldn't listen to us because we don't know how to teach. We came up and turned that situation into partners with those institutions that now they are more than willing to collaborate with us. Their product, so let's call the student a product in this case, they didn't follow their product, they didn't know how much their product is worth on the market. Now they're more familiar with it, and they are opened in possible collaboration with the companies in practices. They are calling now the companies to have some kind of events, to have some kind of joint courses, studies, etc. So we turned the situation in our micro-environment, micro-community in Osijek in our favor, to be more student-friendly and more open to the new ideas and new students which are definitely needed on the market. I think that is in short what I prepared. And if you have some questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. Yes? For every task for a student which is given to the student, we have a developer in the backup, basically. So we are providing enough time that even the student fuck up it, that the developer can handle it in a day or so what is needed. And for the moment, sometimes we don't even say that to the student and give the call to the customer directly to the student. So they are feeling real client anger, satisfaction, whatever, and have a real feeling of communication that they are responsible for that job, basically, and that they need to provide it. We're having agreement that we are asking questions in principle of Stack Overflow. So no student is allowed to come in and say, look, my database is not working. We are trying to teach them to structure the question, because half of the answer is basically in that question almost every time. So they need to write down what they tried, what they achieved, where they arrived with that idea, and maybe try to help them, again, mentor them to find a solution on their own. And if that's stuck as well, then we jump in and solve the problem till the end. Any other question, maybe? Yes?
How long does the program last?
For starter, it's 2 months. So we had, once they are applying for that practice, some of them are having that practice as obligatory on the faculty. And then they are counting hours. They need to have 200 hours, I don't know. And we said, look, we don't care how many hours are there. We will fill the paperwork whenever or however. It's important for you to learn something and to try to engage here in a company or wherever for your career. So some optimal time for that is 2 months, where we can see where the person is going, where is his or her path, and try to guide him to the better conditions, a better way of learning. After that 2 months, we are trying to set up some student arrangement or student contract, and after that, more or less, let's say 2/3 of the students are employed in the company. Again, others are free to go wherever, of course, but this is the trial and error process, and we are trying to, most of my time is basically talking with them, trying to find out how to interact with each and every one of them, and trying to find what they are best at. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I finished university, I was actually not sure what do I want to work. So.
Exactly. That's the reason why we have that on the first interview. We talk with them, and a lot of them are having this response. So I had course for software engineering in Java, in this one, or PHP or whatever, and then we try to talk with them what are the possibilities, and then explain what do we do. So web development in PHP, or either maybe WordPress or a Laravel environment connected with MySQL and in custom projects, or WordPress as a website platform. And try to explain them that once they're entering practice. After the practice is done, they are free to choose whether they like it, so whether they will accept further development in that, or they will go in other technology or whatever field they would like. Yeah? So we are trying to show them by an example. So even Dino here is also from the company. He was also a student when arrived to the company, and he also talks with them because he has first-hand experience. How was it? And we feel that it's maybe easier for them to accept that when the colleague was on the same level or the same situation as they did. So it's easier for them to accept that opportunity. Yeah.
Do you target any particular, like, for example, third-year students, or do you try
some students on the third year have that obligatory practice. So it's from the syllabus, it's a must for them. So they are contacting us on their own. But basically, we don't have any strict year when we will accept the practice. Of course, the higher the year of the study is, it's more likely that he or she will be accepted right away to the company. of course. But also, in some cases, it's good for them to start as early as possible. It's interesting also that we don't have only engineering faculties as institutions which we are collaborating with. In last couple of months, we had more students from faculty of philosophy, or it's called informatology. That's also on faculty of philosophy department of that. And that was interesting. Why is that happening, right? Because we would expect that engineering are here at top on that. And the answer was that a couple of professors on that specific department were very engaged, very proactive, were in also of this association, as I mentioned, and learned on their own, learned a lot of skills and tried to transfer that to the students. So there, in some cases, students from faculty of philosophy had better base than engineer, and it was messed up really. And then we faced faculty with that, and they say it's not true. It can be. And then we tried to explain them. But it's important for us that we achieved a position where we can talk with the faculty. 5 years ago or 6 years ago, we didn't have even, as a community, power to talk with them because they were hiding behind the syllabuses, curriculums, and all other stuff. Now we are more open. We have a more open communication channel with them. Yeah. Any other question? Maybe. Yes.
What's your expectations from students?
Willing to work, to learn. We cannot propose them to have a large set of skills because then we can employ them right away, right? So we would like to know from the student how prepared is he for the learning, and how is he motivated? Is he prepared to handle challenges? Is he prepared to talk with experienced developer? Is he prepared to, can he handle critics and such stuff? Maybe for the starter that is more important for us than main knowledge. He or she will gain some knowledge down the road, but this base is maybe more important even for the starter, right? Okay.
Actual company. For example, some students work at university they study.
Exactly. Those examples are, of course, they would be employed in any way. They will even learn some of those skills on their own. But we are trying to fit that practice in their schedule. If they work, if they have other student work, or they have a large set of the requirements on the faculty for that week. So we are trying to balance their schedule with some tasks in the company. Huh?
I asked, I forgot to mention not about the practice, but when they came to interview for actual job.
Okay.
Look at them when they finish education, when they finish university. Do you have higher expectations from them, or?
Tasks which we give for a real job interview are the same for basically every student or candidate who arrives to the company. But of course, if he had some previous experience or had worked somewhere earlier, that is an advantage, of course. But we don't distinguish those candidates before the interview, basically, right? Any other maybe question? If that's it, then I would thank you for your time and see you tomorrow. Thank you.